Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Noah Bergren here. It's 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, the 29th of October, 2025. Hope you've had a great day out there today. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Fox Local. Hope you're doing good out there for today. So let's talk about some weather. We have lots to discuss. The first thing, obviously, I think would be let's just talk about what's going on here and now. And outside right now, it's quiet. We'll go through the Florida weather, Melissa, Halloween, and then some long-range tropical outlooks into November. See if we have anything else on the horizon heading into the upcoming month. So here's the view outside right now. It's from Port Canaveral. Really, really nice day. But we do have a front that's on the way. And that front is right about here in the panhandle. And I'll draw it all up here for you nice. So there's the area of low pressure that's currently up in Tennessee and Kentucky. And we're watching big low here, and then there's a cold front like that, and all the cold air is behind that front, and that's going to come really pushing in here overnight tonight into tomorrow. And we've got a little line of showers out ahead of the front, but outside of that, it's not going to be a lot of rain for probably about the next 5 days, if any. So there is the cold front. You can see it right there. Just a few showers. That'll come through here through the evening. And then behind it, it's going to get much cooler heading into Thursday and Friday. By the way, the reason why Melissa is going to miss Florida is this front is going to push it literally to the east. If that front was not there, it'd probably be going that way. So good news there with that cold front coming in from the northwest. So let me show you the temperature trend here over the next several days. This is really the big story here in Orlando. If you have a question, comment, concern, put it on Facebook, YouTube, and again, we're on Fox Local as well. Overnight lows dipping into about the low 50s Friday, Saturday morning. These are the Orlando numbers. There'll be places north of town. Essentially, anywhere north of Orlando will dip into the 40s Friday and Saturday morning. Yeah, it's going to be one of the coldest days really since probably March. Always since March of this year. In fact, here's the lows. Take a look at them. Take a look at these temps here. I'll give it a second to load. Here's the temps Saturday morning. Let me take this full screen here so you can see it. These are the temps Saturday. Look at that. 48 in Sanford, 46 in the Villages, 50 in Orlando, 51 in New Smyrna, 58 in Cocoa Beach, 44 in Gainesville, 51 in Palm Coast. It is going to be chilly, chilly, chilly out there. Hello, Mike Caldo. Let me know where you're watching from on Facebook, YouTube, and Fox Local. Hello, Ellie Summer. Ellie, how are you? Ellie, how are you? I love Halloween, says Lulu Gonzalez. Halloween's a favorite of mine. It's not my number one favorite, but it's definitely up there. Hello, Lulu Gonzalez. Thank you for checking in. Hello also to Ellie Summer. Hello, Ellie. How are you? Thanks for checking in on YouTube. And again, we're also on Fox Local and on Facebook. So keep the comments, questions coming. This will be 2 nights of real cold air. Friday night and Saturday night. But Saturday morning, Friday night, Saturday morning will probably be the coldest with 40s north and west and 50s elsewhere. And again, it'll be the coldest Halloween since 2012 and potentially one of the coldest temperatures on Halloween on record in Central Florida. So here's those rain chances for the next several days. Things are good. Tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, we'll start to introduce a little bit of a shower chance. There might be some more rain as we go into Tuesday of next week. We'll keep an eye on that. But toast the temps for tomorrow. These are the highs. We've had these for lows the last few weeks. Low to mid 70s for your Thursday. It's going to be chilly, 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 chilly. Okay, so let's talk tropics now. Let's get into the latest with Melissa. So the latest with Melissa is it's still a hurricane. It's moving to the northeast at 15. It has pressure of 974 millibars. Max sustained winds are at 100 miles an hour. It's moving northeast at 15, so it's already left Cuba. It hit Cuba at about 3 o'clock this morning. In fact, let me turn this back a little bit farther. We'll make this a, what do you say we do we'll do a 12-hour loop. Do a 12-hour loop. Here we go, so we'll let this play now. So here's the loop over the past 12 hours. You see there was the landfall in eastern Cuba. Here's the storm now. It's starting to pulse back up a little bit. But it hit right near the capital city of Santiago. Let me turn on the town labels here. Near Santiago de Cuba, well, not the capital, the second most populated town, or city, I should say, in Cuba. Place that hasn't really been hit by a major hurricane in a long time. So I'll let this play one more time. This is the 12-hour satellite loop, and you'll notice where it came in. Just to the west of Santiago de Cuba, and now the eye is somewhere between Long Island and Crooked Island in the Bahamas. And we do actually have cameras from there. I'm going to try to pull some of those up for tonight on the news. But the eye of the hurricane is probably somewhere right in Crooked Island or Long Island, and you can see here's the big picture. The reason why it's going to miss Florida, because we've got this cold front coming in from the west that's going to help to push Hurricane Melissa out to sea away from the Sunshine State. But you see the little pop of convection there. It is trying to intensify again. Definitely a little bit. We'll see what happens there towards the end of the frame. Let me zoom in here towards the current. Yeah, so the eye of this thing is probably like right here. I notice how all the convection is on the western side, not a lot of convection on the eastern side. It's kind of a lopsided storm right now. Let me show you the high-res visible satellite. And you can see it's really kind of tough to tell if there's a center or an eye in here. It's in there, but not really as clear as it was from a few days ago. Now, the reason why this is also getting pushed out to sea is because there's dry air rapidly coming in from the west. Let me turn this onto the water vapor imagery and show you that. Let me turn off this telestrating. So there's the hurricane, again, hurricane being right here. Look at this wall of dry air, very, very dry air over Florida, the Keys, and about Nassau. And that's going to help to scoop and accelerate this out to sea tonight and then heading into tomorrow. Now, it could make a fourth landfall in Bermuda. There's actually a hurricane watch for Bermuda going into tomorrow. Now, here's the latest forecast path with Melissa. This will be a name that does certainly probably get retired from the folks at the World Meteorological Organization, retired because of its extensive damage and destruction and sadly death. So this will be a name probably we don't see ever again. But there you see it'll scrape by Bermuda late Thursday. Then it'll go up into the eastern Canadian Maritimes as we go into Friday. So not any major impact to the east coast of the U.S. Now we can talk about Melissa for all day and night. If you have a question, comment, or a concern, please put it in the feed here. I would love to hear what's on your mind, what you're doing for Halloween. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But let me show you some of the stats when we could go through this for an hour. But one thing here, let me pull up the comments, make sure I didn't miss any. Hello, hello, hello. I'm sorry, Lulu, your grandma died on Monday night at 9:30. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry for your loss. Love Top Golf, Mike, hello. Deltona checking in, Mike. Hello, hello, how are you? Deltona in the house. How are you? I actually was eating dinner there a few weeks ago up in Deltona. Nice little restaurant up there. TJ Jones says, bring it on. I love the cold weather. I do too, my friend. Not super cold, though. I've grown to love the hot weather in Florida, but you'll definitely have plenty of that for the upcoming weekend. All right, so Fox Local friends, you're going to see a break coming up momentarily. We'll be back in 2 minutes there. But on YouTube, Facebook, we're going to keep going. So here is the stats for Melissa, which we're going to talk about this more coming up in about a minute and a half. But we have potentially world history that was set from Melissa yesterday with the hurricane hunters and what we call dropsondes, that they drop little instruments in to connect the wind speed and the pressure and the dew point and everything else. We'll talk about more of this, what it means, coming up in about 2 minutes. So stay with us. We'll be right back on Facebook, YouTube, and Fox Local. All right, we are back here on Facebook, YouTube, Fox Local. Hello, everybody. Hope you've had a great day so far. Talking more about Hurricane Melissa. So as of 10 o'clock yesterday, when this thing was coming on through, the hurricane hunters were flying in, and they recorded a wind gust of 252 miles an hour just above the ocean surface. And if it's confirmed, it'll be the highest wind gust ever recorded within a tropical system. That record currently stands with Super Typhoon Megi 2010, which hit the Philippines, and that record's 247. So the focus now is on the recovery in Jamaica. We're just starting to see the pictures from the western side of the island. It's devastating. But of the meteorology of this storm, there's going to be a lot of research, a lot of records that come from this. There's going to be improvements in forecasting that come from this, sadly at the worst of cost, being at the tragedy in Jamaica. But from every disaster, especially with science, whether it's weather, climate, medicine, technology, whatever it is in science, when something big and bad happens, there's a lot of good that's going to come out of it to learn for the future. And there will be a lot of research done on Melissa that helps us forecast hurricanes going forward in the next 10, 20, and more years. But one of the strongest wind gusts ever recorded, and that was yesterday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Here were some of the photos from within Melissa, and some of these are just mind-boggling. I mean, look at this photo. This is from inside the hurricane hunters from yesterday, where, remember, the air is sinking, and it's sloped up on the outside. This is from satellite now from space. And you can see the little mesovortices in here that swirl around. They're like little mini tornadic circulations that go around the eye. So the eye itself, remember, is very calm. The air is falling, and then in the eye wall, the air is rising. And that's where all the intense, violent, nasty, gnarly weather is out there. And, really, truly, a storm that's going to be remembered for a long time. A storm I think most remembered for is how intense it got, despite never having an eye wall replacement cycle. And what that means is that eye wall replacement cycles, the eye goes away, then it reforms, and when that happens, the storm weakens a little bit. This one never did that, which is really kind of rare. It's rarely do you see major hurricanes stay at Cat 5 status for more than 8 to 12 hours without weakening and going through a fluctuation. This one just kept going. But this is an interesting stat from its second landfall, is it's more than just Jamaica. So this morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, it hit Cuba, and you see right here Melissa. It hit as the seventh major hurricane to hit eastern Cuba ever. Interesting fact about Cuba, you would think it gets hit a lot more by these big hurricanes. It doesn't. It's the central and western side of the island over towards Havana where it does get hit a lot more. So this was actually quite uncommon for Cuba, where they don't really see these level of hurricanes that often. So you see there Melissa, Dennis back in 2005, Sandy, which obviously went up to New Jersey and the Mid-Atlantic and Pennsylvania in 2012, Inez in 1960, Flora in 1963 by Guantanamo Bay, Matthew in 2016, which ended up being the storm off of Florida's east coast, and then Ike in 2008, which ended up going towards South Texas, and then the Tennessee Valley in 2008. So interesting. Melissa, a rare storm for Jamaica, also a rare storm for Cuba in the sense that it hit a part of the island that does not normally see major hurricane landfall. It's just the seventh major hurricane landfall there on record. And in Jamaica, I haven't added it to this chart yet, but it will be just the fifth major hurricane to ever hit the island. The first since Gilbert in 1988, the first Category 5 ever. And you see 1903, there was one on the eastern tip of the island. Charlie by Kingston, 1951. Gilbert by Kingston, 1988. And there was an unnamed storm out by Montego Bay back in 1912. Now, the good news for us here in Florida as we head into November, which starts in a few days, is that generally we don't see hurricane threats here in Florida, which is really good news. In fact, in the month of November, we've only had 3 storms that have ever hit as a hurricane. Kate in 85 in the Panhandle, an unnamed storm in 1935, and then Nicole, obviously, we know very well here in the Orlando area just a few years ago in 2022. So, yes, it can happen. It's just very unlikely and doesn't happen that often. So in terms of what comes next in the tropics, there is going to be at least a chance of another system or two, I think. So this chart is looking at the long-range tropical outlook, and if you look in the dashed area there, this comes to us from our friends at NOAA. Notice November 5th through the 11th. So next week and then the week after in the Western Caribbean, again, they are now outlining at least a chance of 2 more tropical systems to form. We'll see. I'm not too worried about it right now, but I do think that there's going to be at least a narrow window of quite favorable conditions for 1 more system to form. Whether or not it actually forms, it's going to be quite favorable in the sense that the MJO comes around, water's still hot. There will be probably about a week of time in the middle of November that it's very favorable for a system to form there. We just need thunderstorms to go through, and it would. And if not, then that should be the end of the season, which would be great. Which would be really, really great news. But it looks like there'll be 1 more little favorable time we'll have to watch. And regardless of what happens, Nestor, Olga, Pablo are the next names up for the 2025 season. All right, so that's the idea with the tropics. Our big story here at home is going to be what happens with the hurricane, and there it goes. So this evening, maybe a brief sprinkle. There goes the hurricane off to the northeast, and looking into the weekend, we've got windy and colder weather coming on in from the north. It's going to be probably feeling more like January, Friday into Saturday. And if you missed it earlier, here's the temperatures for Saturday morning. We're talking about 40s and 50s. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? Let me know in the comments on Facebook, YouTube, and Fox Local. Is it going to rain? Okay, so we got questions coming on in. If you have questions, as always, please put them in the feed. Tasha wants to know, is it going to rain in Halloween? Rain in Orlando near SeaWorld for Hollow Scream. What night, Tasha? But I think you're fine. I'll show you the Fox model here. We'll pull it up. I don't really see. The only chance of rain is tonight, and it's a sprinkle. I mean, other than that, I don't really see much chance of any rain here going forward, which is good news. So here is the latest 7-day. Notice today we kind of got the clouds coming in tonight, small chance of a sprinkle. It's windy tomorrow, much cooler Friday, Saturday with temps that'll be in the low 70s, and then things that'll start to moderate again next week with maybe a shower on Monday into Tuesday of next week. But yeah, Tasha, about the rain, I mean, unless you're going tonight or next Tuesday night or Monday night, it's good. It's a Thursday through Sunday. Should be pretty good at Hollow Scream there in Orlando. Let me look at some of your other comments. TJ Jones says, bring it on. I love the cold weather. Well, you're going to get plenty of it, that's for sure, over the next couple of days there, TJ. All right, so any other comments, questions, concerns? Throw them in the feed here. See, we got one here. Oh, Nicole Robbins checking in. Happy birthday on the 11th. Nicole, loyal weather follower of ours. Appreciate you, Nicole. Happy early birthday to you. Tasha, don't think we're going to have the rain there for Halloween and Hollow Scream, so that should be good news. Another question coming on in here. I want to bring this one up. Jose, is the front coming to Puerto Rico? It is. Now, it's not going to be as cold as it is in Orlando, but it'll get close. So this is Saturday morning, and the front on Saturday, here being Puerto Rico, will be approaching eastern Cuba. The front will probably make it to about the Dominican Republic. So it'll get cooler in Puerto Rico later this weekend, but it's not going to be anything like it'll be up in here on the other side of the front, Jose, heading into the upcoming weekend. So that's what I would tell you there about that. So good news about Melissa is the max intensity has passed. Again, really truly a storm that's going to be remembered for a while, a long while. Here's the timeline of what happened with Melissa. See, it became a tropical storm, then a hurricane, rapidly to a Cat 5 in less than 2 days, and then landfall in Jamaica, then a second landfall in Cuba, third landfall tonight in the Bahamas, and then maybe a fourth landfall in Bermuda going into Thursday. Now, a reminder that hurricanes are rated based on the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. not damage. These are different than tornadoes. Tornadoes are rated retroactively, where a human scientist, meteorologist, or an engineer from the Weather Service goes out, looks at the damage, then puts a rating on it. Hurricanes are based solely on the sustained wind speed. Now, there has been a dialogue in the weather community for changing this to make it more encompassing of other impacts like surge and rain and flooding and speed and scale and scope and how many people are impacted. That's been an ongoing discussion in the federal government being NOAA and the Weather Service and meteorologists across the United States. So that is, I'm mentioning that because that's a discussion that has gotten more traction in recent years. I still think we're years from that being changed if it was, because there's so many hoops and hurdles and this, that, and the other that would have to be jumped through for that to change. But it's a question that we've been asked, and I've been asked a few times more lately. So just to mention that there is a chance, I would say, that the scale gets changed going forward. Other thing we're looking at going forward is the upcoming king tides. So we had October 29th, 23rd, but this is going to be next week, November 6th. We'll have the highest king tide of the fall in Central Florida. So some coastal flooding, no beaches at times of high tide, and some big swell there, especially if we get an east wind next week. So the end of next week, if you have plans to be at the beach, there's not going to be a lot of beach out there because of the king tide that's coming back in. But for out there tonight, it's a really, really nice night. There's the view from Port Canaveral. Again, we're just looking at a small chance of a sprinkle coming in through the evening, but I really don't think it's going to be much. So let's take a quick look at the long-range tropical outlook here, because this will be the first I look at this today too. So we'll look at it together quick. We got a few more minutes here. So let's take a look. Let's take a look. So here's the European model. Now we did this a few weeks ago with Melissa, and it ended up being pretty accurate. So here we go. So what you're looking at here is the European model. And it's 100 versions of the European model on one map. And we're looking at the pressure chart. So if there's storms, we'll see them pop up here. Now notice, might be a little bit of a low in the upper Gulf on Monday. We're watching that, not tropical. But look down over in here. You see a couple of storms that try to pop. Down in the Western Caribbean over in here. Now this would be next weekend, and it's possible that something tries to pop and track north towards Florida. This would be the end of next week into the week after. And you see a little bit of a signal here of something forming, and that does line up. You see a couple of them there trying to come north. It does line up with where the Weather Service has that risk of maybe another tropical formation area the middle of the month. And you see that there. Here, I'll make this full screen. So that's what we'll watch. I'm not worried about it yet. I don't think you should be worried about it yet, but just putting on your radar. We'll keep an eye on mid-month. Maybe another attempt or two at a tropical system in the Western Caribbean. So appreciate all of you watching tonight, this afternoon here on our Fox local stream. Appreciate all of your comments and engagement, as always. It's going to be a cold Halloween this year. Now, for granted being up north, this is, not really that cold, but for Florida standards, it is definitely a very cold Halloween coming in for Friday. And then again on Saturday. So let me check one more time some of your comments. I want to make sure I don't miss any. So Nicole says, so that could potentially be here on my birthday. Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that yet. Nicole, check it in on YouTube. Appreciate you watching there. So I'll have more for you coming up on the News Edge tonight at 5 and 6. Laurel will see you tonight at 8, and then I'll see you again after the World Series, which is Game 4 tonight. Been a great World Series. We've got that on our network tonight on Fox. Hopefully it's not another 18 inning game tonight, but we'll see you there. We'll talk much more about the cold, Melissa, and again that potential for another tropical system coming in towards the end of the month. So appreciate you all watching. We'll see you later. Have a good rest of your day.